Hey, let's talk knees, Untamed TV fans. It's your host, Craig Bielik, today joined by Dr. Michael Sumko, who is an orthopedic surgeon. Is that the correct term?
That's correct.
The orthopedic surgeon practicing in Brigham City and at Brigham City Community Hospital. And we're here to talk about knees, and not your basic old knee. We're talking about something new with knees today.
That's correct.
And when I say old knee, it used to be that only grandma who was 75 years old got a knee replacement.
That's correct.
And now I have friends of mine that I went to high school with who are, when we're not 75, I might look it, but we're not, that are getting knee replacements and having knee problems and all that kind of stuff. So let's talk, first off, let's set the stage. What does the knee do? What goes wrong with the knee?
Well, because of our active society that we live in today, we find younger people having problems with the knees. Knees are your basic mobility joint that allows you to go places where your body is not ready to go yet. So if you want to turn right, your knee goes out there first with your foot to provide a right turn. And so the knee is put at a mechanical disadvantage quite often in simple walking or and when we talk about athletics, where people are playing basketball and racquetball and everything else, your body's here, your knees are out to the side or behind you. They're doing a lot of things that the rest of the body isn't. Subsequently, the wear and tear that we sustain in our knees is much higher than probably any other joint. And of course, knee replacements have for years been the standard of when the knee wears out, that's what you do. Now we have something different, something new, something for a younger population.
Me?
Right? For a population which would not qualify for knee replacements, meaning some of those people who are a little overweight, who normally the surgeon would say, well, you lose 20 or 30 pounds or 50 pounds, you come back and see us and we'll talk about replacing your worn out knee, because there's so many complications that occur when people are overweight. So you get the younger population who comes in and says, I want to still be active, I don't want a knee replacement, but my knee's worn out. We have arthritis. And so arthritis is probably the main thing we're dealing with, a knee that's worn out. Mm-hmm. So you got to understand what arthritis is first.
Okay.
So we'll show the slide of arthritis. And this gives you an idea when you do a knee replacement, you open the knee up. If you look on the side that's to the left, you will see the bone-on-bone arthritis. That pink area is raw bone. The area to the right on the femoral condyle is cartilage, and that's nice and smooth. It's like the ivory on a piano key. It's perfectly smooth, and when moistened with your normal joint fluids, it slides on the tibia below, and you got a wonderful surface. But as you age, or if you've had trauma, that pink bone begins to show whenever the cartilage wears off. And that's the problem we're dealing with. When people say, I have arthritis, what is that? That means your surface cartilage is going away. It's being worn off. And when it gets to that point, is on that slide, you're ready for a knee replacement. Not everybody is, though. So what basically happens is that some people who walk around have bone-on-bone arthritis, and they have no pain. And there are other people who have close to bone-on-bone or bone-on-bone arthritis, and they essentially have a lot of pain. What's the difference? And this is something that makes this new treatment a brand new approach to this whole process. We thought for years that bone-on-bone was the source of pain. We said, oh, you got bone-on-bone arthritis, you have pain. Well, if you take some people, as I said, there's some older people walking around, they have no pain at all, but their knees look terrible on x-ray. It's bone-on-bone, the cartilage is gone. What makes pain? So for years we thought it was the bone-on-bone, but when MRIs became much more popular and easier to get and cheaper, people started looking at the MRI and saying, what's going on to make this person hurt? Well, there's actually 3 or 4 things that make a knee hurt. One is if there's a meniscus tear. Meniscus is that little rubbery cartilage between both sides. When you get a meniscus tear, that's a painful reason to hurt. The second thing that happens is the lining of the knee, which surrounds the whole knee, is like a bag, and it's filled with a very small amount of fluid. When that fluid becomes in excess, when the body says, I've got to do something to solve the problem of this pain, it makes excessive fluid. And that fluid inside the knee will cause pain. So that's the second reason. The third reason is there are no pain receptors, nothing, no nerve endings on that raw bone. So why does raw bone hurt? Well, it's not actually the raw bone. It's the bone below the raw bone, the cortical, the cancellous bone below the raw bone that hurts. So if you were to open the end of your bone, where that raw bone was on that picture, if you were to open that up, you would see inside there a spongy bone that is made up of a lot of little spider web processes. That's called microtrabecular bone. So it looks like, I remember when I was a kid, we had a thing called seafoam candy. I don't know if you remember that?
I do remember.
It was kind of crunchy, and if you broke it open, there were lots of little holes in it.
Yeah, it was infused with air.
Exactly. Well, the inside of your bone, at the very end of your bones, where the joint is located, there is, it's like seafoam candy. There's air spaces between the microtrabecular bone, and those spaces help take up force. When that bone is under a lot of stress, and cartilage usually spreads the stress out on the joint surface, when it's gone, the forces go straight through that bone. And when you go straight through that bone into the bone below, that bone becomes under a great deal of stress, and we get what's called microtrabecular stressing or fracturing. So if you go to the picture that shows the
which
bone,
I imagine is most people call owie.
Owie. And so it means that the bone is under stress, and it's going to cause pain because it's got some lesions in it. If you look on that slide, you'll see MRI pictures that show normal bone, which is in dark gray, and then you see some white areas. Those white areas are actually areas where there are microtrabecular fracturing taking place. Those white areas are the areas which correspond almost always to people having pain. They will point to the side of their knee where they have the pain, and it typically matches their MRI. So when we see that, we can say the bone marrow is under stress, and that's where your nerve endings are. You don't have bone or nerve endings outside on the solid bone. You have it inside on the softer bone. That's why when you break a bone, it's not the surface of the bone that causes the pain, it's the inside that causes the pain. So someone came up with a magic way of approaching those bone marrow lesions. We call them BML, bone marrow lesions, that we see on the MRI. The idea is what if we made that bone harder? What if there was a way that this bone that's under stress because cartilage is not expressing this or spreading the stress out, what if we took and did something to that bone below to make it harder? So a man came up with a process whereby we take a small little needle, cannula, we put it in the bone to match the exact area where the bone marrow lesion is, and we put some dissolvable calcium cement in there.
So now, you're shoring up the bone.
You're shoring up the bone.
Okay,
so the next picture, the next slide shows that. You see the bone marrow lesion on the left, it's kind of in red. And then we see the little micro cannula going in, and we fill it with a stuff called AccuFill. It's a bone marrow substitute that in 15 minutes goes from being pasty to being hard as a rock. Now, here's the nice thing about it.
Okay.
Not only is it minimally invasive, but it also, that bone marrow substitute we put in there will dissolve over the next 2 to 5 years and be gone. So in 5 years, if you were looking at that same bone, there'd be nothing there. But in the meantime, what we're hoping, what the body hopes for is, with the right amount of calcium and things taken in, it will begin to take that bone marrow cement and dissolve it, and in place of it, put normal calcium. So you shore up the bone for a period of time, take the pain away because you're making it not a less stressful bone, and then you let Mother Nature do her thing and make that bone harder over time. So in 5 years, the bone no longer has the weak area in it. It's been shored up during that period of time, and so pain goes away. And so what we're finding is it's basically making this bone more like your normal bone that's under normal stresses without having an area of increased stress.
Wow. I mean, this is basically a good option for a lot of people.
It's an excellent option because here's the statistics. Statistics say that for the first 2 years, 70% of the people who have this procedure, if they match prerequisite-wise, they have pain matching their bone marrow lesion on the MRI, 70% of those people will not need a knee replacement at 2 years. Now, there's more studies coming out. In fact, those come out in December, which will show what happens at 5 years. How many of those people go on to a knee replacement? How many people don't go on to a knee replacement? And thirdly, how many people kind of start to have their symptoms back again, get an MRI, have a similar problem, have the same little procedure done, and go for another 2 to 5 years? So in other words, it's repeatable. You don't burn any bridges by doing this. And it's repeatable, and it's also maybe for some people it's it's a way of avoiding a knee replacement for years.
Altogether. And maybe altogether. So
Exactly.
how many of these have you done?
I've done 48 of them.
Yeah.
We have about an 80% in the last year and a half, 48. About 80% of those people, somewhere in the neighborhood around 40, have had excellent results. The other people, a couple of them that I was asked to do because they just did not want a knee replacement, and they weren't great candidates. They had an MRI that matched where their pain was, showing the bone marrow lesion, but they were either grossly obese, that's a possible problem, or they had so much wear and tear in other parts of their knees that they were trying to just get something that would buy them time. And a few of those people didn't. They failed. They went on to a total knee, or else they were just waiting for a total knee in some time in the future. The other 40 or so have done very, very well. They've essentially have avoided knee replacement and are pain-free. And they're pain-free from anywhere from 3 to 5 days after the surgery for however long it's going to last.
That's incredible. Great
Now-
results, great recovery.
Exactly. Here's another nice part about it. It's a same-day surgery. It's essentially you come in and it's about an hour-long procedure. We make 2 small holes in the bone, under anesthesia, obviously. Put the cement in. It dries in 15 minutes. And then what usually we wind up doing is at the same time, we stick a little scope in your knee, look around and make sure there's nothing else that needs to be corrected at that time. Sew everybody up, send them out. They're on crutches for a week. And then after that week, they're regularly walking.
They're good to go?
They're good to go.
You're kidding me.
So with about an 80% positive result, this is a wonderful alternative to saying when you go into the doctor and the doctor says you're bone on bone, you need a knee replacement. Well, now they can say, well, you're bone on bone, but there's a chance if your MRI matches where your pain is, there's a pretty good chance we got something we could try that will give you an 80% chance of being at least 2 years without having to have a knee replacement or longer.
Or longer. So, folks out there watching, I mean, if your knees are hurting, regardless of your age, check this out because this is a good alternative to
regardless
to
of
whole knee. Yeah.
Conditioning, weight. We love to have people operated on when they're lighter. That's much better, much better for them. However, there have been people who go into the doctors and a lot of doctors say you're 50 pounds overweight. Well, what am I going to do to lose weight? I can't exercise. My knees hurt so bad. This is an alternative to buy you some time to lose that weight. So it's a great one. If I had a knee that was completely worn out, needed a replacement, this would be the alternative I would try first before I did a replacement.
So there you have it. Your knee might be done, but you're not done. So
Exactly.
here's an alternative to do that. Dr. Sumko, I just have one more question for you, and that is there any way you could put a little more passion into what you do? I mean, I think this is the most lively, passionate guest I have ever had on this. I mean, do any of you folks who have watched this program out there, do any of you have any doubt that this man loves his job?
And like I said, when you have a good product, it's easy to sell the good product. When you have something that and knee replacements are wonderful. I'm not trying to put down knee replacements. The real facts are 80% of knee replacements, people never complain, do wonderful. 20% of people have something funny. They either have chronic pain, they're not comfortable, they don't bend as well as they used to, they can't do the things they used to, they can't kneel. And so 20% of the people come back after a knee replacement and say, it was okay, but I wish I had something different. This is the something different that might give you that alternative.
Okay, one more time. Tell everyone what the procedure is.
It's called subchondroplasty, subchondroplasty. Now, you can look that up on the internet. Go on to the internet and look up YouTube subchondroplasty, and they'll show you the video of how it's done. There's the guy who invented it. He's doing a procedure there. You can look it up in just any of the Wikipedia, anywhere else. It'll tell you about the procedure, tell you the basic facts of the procedure, and then you can always contact us. And there are a few people in the area doing them now because they've recognized that this is a viable procedure for the person who comes in and says, I don't want it yet.
Right. Right. You can find more information at brighamcityhospital.com. You can find Dr. Sumko in the physician listing there. You can call him at his office at?
Right. It's 435-734-2151. Call my home if you want, whatever the case is.
Call his home.
I'm more than happy to talk with you.
Drive over, climb through his window
That's
at midnight.
right. That's right.
Whatever it takes. Although
We'll talk to you.
If you've got a bad knee, you probably can't do that. This is fascinating subchondroplasty with Dr. Michael Sumko, MD, orthopedic surgeon. And I'm tired. That wore me out. That's a lot of information. Thanks for joining Untamed TV, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you.